So I think it's safe to say, our customers and humans in general have higher expectations. They want more and more, and they want it faster and faster. So based on what we see and what we've heard, if you're not able to do more and do it faster, you're going to fall behind and your business will be impacted. So I'm Chris Torbert. I lead the sales organization here at Beck Technology. I also have the privilege of working with all our existing customers. I've also had the privilege of working with or speaking to about 1,000 general contractors from around North America over the last 4 years. And so I've enjoyed that, but I've also gained a ton of information and a ton of insight into what the real challenges are and how technology in general can help them. So we talk to groups all the time, and there's just the same theme that we hear is if they have 3 weeks to turn around an estimate, all right, it takes them 2.5, almost 3 weeks just to build the estimate. And what that ultimately does is that only gives them a day or two to do all the other things that are so important. And those same customers tell me they used to have 4 weeks to do that, right? Which left a week plus to do really strategic things to add value back to the owner. But again, human expectation and just proclivity to want things faster and be less patient, now they have less time to do the exact same job. And so they're all searching for a way to, now that they've got less time, they're searching for a way to, how do we do all this other stuff faster so we can still add value back to that owner, back to that project, by doing things like value engineering, conceptual estimating, studying plans, working closely with subcontractors. But I'd say value engineering is one that people really need to be doing, and they don't have the time or the resources to do it as effectively as possible. And in this construction world that we live in, reputation and experience is everything. And it's not necessarily about winning the current job. It's about how do we provide a high value of service and value back to that owner so that they'll come back to us for the next job and the next job and the next job. And so that's where value engineering becomes so critical and important. So, value engineering it could quite literally be the difference between that job being feasible or that job going away. And so imagine you spending 3, 4, 5 months pursuing this job at a really early stage, and you give them what you think is a really reliable conceptual estimate. And then, fast forward a couple of months and many man hours later, they give you a set of plans, and you told them it was $20 million, and the plans they give you now add up to $25 million. So you've got a couple of things that are in play there. One is if you can't get that down to $20 million or really close, that project may no longer be feasible. And so the owner has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on architecture and engineering. They've had many tough conversations with their board, their stakeholders, whatever it may be. But your company has also invested tons of man hours on that. And if you can't find a way to get that down from 25 million to 20, you could have wasted all of that, right? But not only you wasted on your end, the owner on their end, right, has wasted time and money. And so you start to think about that reputation that we were talking about earlier and winning the next job. If you can't really dedicate time to get that back in budget, you could be putting not only that job in jeopardy, which is $1 million, 7 figures of potential profit, but also 2, 3, 4 jobs that same owner may be wanting to do down the road. And so, how we really have seen people tackle that is, okay, if it takes them 2.5 weeks to build an estimate and only leaves a couple of days for value engineering, that's not enough, right? The industry and expectations has all progressed, but a lot of people are still using tools from 20, 30 years ago. And so the processes haven't evolved to keep up with human expectation and owner demand. And so what we really try and recommend our customers focus on is how can we get that from 2.5 weeks to build the estimate down to 2 weeks, a week and a half, or 1 week, right? And there's a lot of ways you can do that by modernizing your processes. And so one of the big focuses on let's find these areas that our legacy processes and we're wasting time. Let's really shrink those down so that we can get that stuff, the low value stuff, out of the way, and we can really focus and spend a week on value engineering and come up with not only how to get that from 20 million down to 25 million down to 20 million, but what if we could get that to 18 million, right? Or even less? How much more value are we adding to that owner, and how much more likely are we able to not only win that job, but win the next one and the next one? So value engineering, super, super key. And not only is time a big factor, we've also seen owners wanting a bigger variety of value engineering options, right? So it's not just what's the way to get us down to 20 million or back on budget. It's what are some cool and interesting value engineering ideas that not only keep us on cost, but add value or add interesting characteristics to that project, or can maybe even make it better. And so there's this balance between how do we stay on budget, but also how do we make this the coolest project imaginable. And so value engineering is the middle ground where those two things are being accomplished, or those efforts are happening. And so we've got to modernize our processes to take less time to build the estimate, right, and leave more time to really focus on studying the project, looking at historical data, finding things maybe that we've done in the past or that we've been wanting to do in other projects, and incorporating that in there. And you just flat out can't do that if you don't have the time. I was talking to a guy the other day and spent about 2.5 weeks building the estimate. The owner called him a couple of days before their meeting and said, "Hey, can we move this up a little bit?" And so the guy quite literally took a project that he hadn't had a chance to study or do all the value engineering stuff on, and the meeting with the owner didn't go too well. And his comment to me was, "Man, we got to find a better way to do this." So if you feel like you're like that general contractor I was talking about, where you're rushing to meetings without having the time to do the things that you know are critical for that job and for your reputation, like, give us a call, schedule a demo. We would love to show you how we're helping people consolidate that 2.5, 3-week process down to a week and a half, so that they can keep up with human nature and the increasing demands from owners. We'd love to show you how we've been helping other groups do that.